Ever wondered why some decisions seem to have a bigger impact than others? Every day, we make countless decisions, yet it's often a handful that truly shape our lives. It's not just about the size or the complexity of the decision, but the ripple effect it creates. This is where the fascinating world of decision-making comes into play, a world where some choices can tip the scales dramatically. Well, there's a principle that might just explain this phenomenon. It's called the Pareto Principle. So what is this Pareto Principle, and who came up with it? Well, let's turn back the hands of time to the late 19th century, Italy. A curious economist, Vilfredo Pareto, noticed an interesting pattern. About 80% of the land in Italy was owned by just 20% of the population. Intrigued, he delved deeper and discovered that this principle held true in other aspects of life as well. This discovery led to the birth of the Pareto Principle, an idea that suggests that a mere 20% of actions often lead to a whopping 80% of outcomes. This principle, over time, has been tested and proven correct in a multitude of fields, from business to health and even personal life. And so, the Pareto Principle, fondly dubbed the 80-20th rule, was born. This principle has proven to be incredibly accurate not just in economics, but in many areas of life. But how does the Pareto Principle work in real life, you might ask? Well, let's dive into it, shall we? The Pareto Principle, or the 80-20 rule as it's commonly known, is a concept that suggests 80% of our results come from just 20% of our efforts. Now, this might sound a bit abstract, so let's illustrate this with a few practical examples. In the world of business, it's often observed that 80% of a company's profits come from just 20% of its products or services. That's right. Most of the revenue is generated by a small fraction of what's on offer. And it's not just business where this principle holds true. Let's take a look at our personal lives. Ever noticed how you tend to wear 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time? Yep, that's the Pareto Principle at play again. Even in the realm of health and fitness, it's often found that 80% of health benefits come from just 20% of exercises or dietary changes. This means that a few key lifestyle tweaks can make a world of difference to our well-being. In essence, the Pareto Principle tells us to focus our energies where they will have the most impact. It's about working smarter, not harder, and making the most of our valuable time and resources. So, are you ready to put the 80-20 rule into action? Understanding this principle is one thing, but how can we apply it to our own lives? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The good news is the Pareto Principle is a versatile tool that can be applied in myriad ways. Let's start with decision-making. The Pareto Principle can help us prioritize our choices. If we focus on the 20% of decisions that will result in 80% of the outcomes, we can make more impactful decisions and reduce unnecessary stress. Next, consider time management. We often spend a lot of energy on tasks that yield little return. By identifying the 20% of our tasks that lead to 80% of our productivity, we can optimize our time and energy. What about goal setting? Well, the Pareto Principle can help us here too. By focusing on the 20% of our goals that will lead to 80% of our success, we can streamline our efforts and achieve more with less. And this is just scratching the surface. The Pareto Principle can be applied in countless other areas, from business to personal relationships. It's all about identifying what's most important and giving it the attention it deserves. By applying the Pareto Principle, we can become more efficient, productive, and ultimately successful. This is the power of the 80-20 rule. Harness it and watch your life transform. Vilfredo Pareto once said, "For many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes." So the Pareto Principle is more than just a theory, it's a tool for life. It's a blueprint for making smarter decisions, optimizing productivity, and leading a more balanced life. Born from Vilfredo Pareto's observations, this principle proves that a small portion of our efforts can yield the majority of our results. By applying this understanding, we can streamline our actions and focus on what truly matters. If this video resonates with you, kindly like and share it with your friends and family. Don't forget to subscribe to DynamicDrive for a weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and life-transforming content. Thank you for watching. Cheers.